Hello everybody and welcome to ServiceNow Expeditions. We are traversing ServiceNow universe, charting it step by step. Today we go full async, which means the form remains responsive and the heavy load goes to the background queue. Your guides, Mike, Ula and Ivan, are ready to deliver. So guys, where are we going from here?
So last time we talked about after business rules, and today we want to talk about the so-called async business rules. Async business rules are a bit better because they behave not the same way like the before and the after business rules, which are executed in the same transaction. That means, for example, if you click on the save button, then within this operation, before and after business rules are executed. Async business rules are decoupled. They are queued for execution and performed later, not in the same transaction. So what could be reasons for this? Ola, do you have an idea what use cases we have in ServiceNow for executing async business rules?
A lot of times when you want the process to be consumed when it's appropriate to offload the resources from the database and from the system, you put it in a sync queue. So it's executing when it has the resources available to execute. In my opinion, it's the preferred way.
Yeah, and this decoupling also means you don't have, for example, access to the previous object. Maybe we talked about in the last times, the current object and previous object. At that time, ServiceNow only has access to the current object. And to provide you a good use case for this, we extended in our ServiceNow Expedition application the expedition form with the average rating field.
All right,
you can see it there.
Here is the field. I have just opened, by the way, the record of our previous expedition because we need the functionality of a closed record.
Yeah, and so now when we add any ratings to this closed expedition, we now want to see what is the average rating of all users.
And if I double click, I'll show the values.
It's free. So that means we can do normal mathematical calculation here and determine the average value of all ratings. We could do this in a after business rules, but it makes no sense because the calculation can be done in the background. So therefore we would go with the async business rule here.
So basically there is no need for us to lock the form and the transaction, active transaction and session in order to calculate it. This is not that important for us to really wait for it. We can continue and the calculations will be delivered. Amazing.
Yeah, we should demonstrate this. Can you please open again one of these records in another tab and then we will change, or we could also do it here in the list view. Is also possible, I think.
Yeah, let's do it here.
Yeah.
Let me check one of those mediums to very high.
And now have a look on the field. So you see this cool thing in ServiceNow. Whenever there is a change in the values in the currently open form, you get this small icon of something has changed there. This blue icon, you can even see who has changed this. And you could also see if when the value was changed in the background to another value. So how is this done? We have another business rule here already prepared. So maybe we can open this. It's named average, calculate average, yes.
And here we are. Right, so current when to run configuration looks like this. We are using async.
Yes, it's only available if you click on advanced in the upper right.
Yeah, it will not be visible otherwise. And then for that we have prepared.
No conditions, Mike?
Yeah, good question, Ola. We should double validate this. So we could also add here a condition. So what could be a good condition? Any rating was done or selected. Basically, it shouldn't be possible to add a record without any rating, but here we could add at least the condition a rating is not empty.
All right, I can select the rating here and it should not be empty. So it basically is not none.
Yeah, it's not none. Empty is not available for choice list fields.
Let me save it. Fail safe.
Perfect. So in the advanced tab, we will find the respective code. And what you can see here, I already used, or let's say I'm trying to get used to the new 𝐓𝐀𝐄𝐀𝐿 script version. So that means you see const, something it was not available, and also let later down. And my first check is whether the expedition record is valid. This business rule was not built on the expedition table. It was built on the expedition rating table. So that means basically we could also add a condition whether the expedition is available or not. I prefer also to add a respective check here in the code right at the beginning. You see current, this is the rating table. It has a field expedition, and then this get ref record is something like get me the record from the expedition. And if you do this, you also have to check in the next line, is it a valid record? And only that way you can be sure that there is really an expedition. It could be that the expedition record itself is not available anymore. So then you have a orphaned rating record. So therefore, always make sure that the references you are relying on are really existing in the system. And this is the easiest way you can do this with the get ref record, and then with the check is valid record.
And what I also see when you are reporting an error using the glide system error method, we have a very interesting formatting here with backticks.
Yes, this is also a new way we got with the 𝐓𝐀𝐄𝐀𝐿 script version with the latest. With the backtick, you can include expressions. This little expression, I think this was the right name, with the $ and the curly brackets. And with whatever you write within these curly brackets is executed. So no need anymore to end the string at a plus, then any value, and then another plus, and the string continues. So you can include it right into the string, but you have to use backticks.
ECMAScript 2025 notation brings a lot of new things from the modern JavaScript coding world, I would say. So sooner or later we will have to change to that. So we better start already, especially with the huge upgrade on this area in the Zurich release. So make sure to dig out the changes in around ECMA 2025 in Zurich.
And as we talk about logging here, maybe for our users, custom scoped application have another advantage. It's about logging. So you don't need to search for your output, for your logging output in the large syslog table. There's another logging table which is only dedicated to custom applications. Syslog _ app _ scope table.
Oh, sorry, this one.
Syslog, one word, _
Yeah,
app _ scope.
Here we are.
Yeah, can you please sort by created? Although I think it's not the latest one.
Let me fix the list layout so that we don't need to scroll around too much. I'll bring the application scope.
Yeah, we have to.
I'll bring it a little bit on top so that we see where we are.
Here we see right in the middle of the screen ServiceNow expeditions, and then this output business rule calculate and so on. Yes. Yeah, it
I'll
is.
just filter everything else out. This is our scope, and this is scope log entries from this application. All right, good.
Going back to our business rule. So the rest of the script is just calculating the average rating, no rocket science. So, and at the end of the script, you will see a bit of weird code, this new global sleeper, sleep, and so on. So the reason is here for demonstration purposes, I added a script include in the global scope. So we can call this gs.sleep and prevent ending of this business rule just for demonstration purposes, because I also want to show you how ServiceNow is performing this async business rule. What is ServiceNow doing with this? So yeah, do you have an idea, Ola or Ivan?
As far as I understand, right, we we are sending it the heavy load, as I mentioned at the beginning. We're sending it in a background queue, and it's there waiting for processing, right? And ServiceNow scheduled workers should take over.
Whenever a scheduled worker is in place, what is ServiceNow using for this? Which table?
Don't know the table name.
This trigger, sys _ trigger.
Oh, yeah.
So we can go to the sys _ trigger table, and then we should be able to find a record. Basically, if the business rule is performed immediately, you will not have a chance to find a record. But due to my sleeper at the end, we will be able to see something. So we need again any rating record and change the value, so we can. It doesn't matter which one.
Let me check this one to I. Perfect. So
And
now
now,
we have 30 seconds.
yes, exactly. Go back and then refresh.
You need to sort it by created.
Yes, I created. And then
Here we are.
yes. Can you open this, please? So for a business rule, ServiceNow is creating a record in this trigger table and prepends this with async. This is the indicator. And in the middle, in the job context, this is just a script field. And here ServiceNow is performing or collecting some informations and assigning this to variables. And in the upper right corner, you see job ID, async, BR script job. This is a Java code, I think.
I presume this is the sysid of our business rule, right?
Yeah, we can check this. There are some business, sysids. So basically, I also would expect the user who is running this.
Yeah.
I don't know.
This is the one. Let's check. I'm using our beloved Sun utils. And as you can see,
So there's one important thing we should know about async business rules. As I said, they are performed in the background. So that means there's a decoupled situation. You trigger the business rule, but it's performed by the system. And basically, you would expect that the user who is performing the script is the system user. But for many reasons, this would be a bad idea. So therefore, ServiceNow is also handing over the sysid of the triggering user, and this user is then used for a kind of, let's say, session. And under this user, the script is then performed in the background. This is really special for async business rules.
Amazing. Let us
just using the impersonation feature from the system?
I'm not sure how ServiceNow is doing this. At the end, impersonation is not rocket science.
Yeah.
We could ask ServiceNow itself, but at the end, the result is important. The script is performed as the user who triggered the business rule. This is important, and not as the system user.
Yeah, because then any updates would be shown as updated by the system, not by the user that actually triggered this transaction.
Exactly.
All right, great. I'm just showing that the sysid listed under the FFC script name is indeed our business rule.
So a question, Mike.
Yep.
What happens after these 30 seconds are done when the execution is completed? Is this record deleted from the systrigger table?
Yeah. Ivan, please refresh the form. No. Refresh the form. Yes, it's deleted. Great. Otherwise, this table would overflow. Whenever a job in the systrigger table is performed, it's deleted. Or if it depends on the type. We saw hopefully it was of type run once, because a business rule needs to be performed only once. But we have also trigger types which are of regulatory nature, and these will not be deleted. They will triggered as long as configured. Yeah. What do you think? If you go back to the expedition record, we saw, I think, 6 ratings or so. What do you think if we go to the list and perform a bulk update of all 6 records? This can be done via marking, yes, and then double click. What do you think? How many business rules are triggered?
So we have 6 ratings. There will be 6 async business rules.
Yes, let's check this or validate this.
Let
and
us
go to
switch.
this trigger table. Yes.
So let me check. Yeah. We have only 4. Because there are the other ones already had the value. That's why
exactly.
They're not triggered.
But for now, it's not important. Important is that you need to know that each change will trigger an individual business rule. And this is important for performance reasons. You can harm your system with the bad design of async business rules. If you are performing too many of them, I don't talk about 10 or 100, I talk about millions of async business rules. Then they are queuing up, and they are blocking then other important background workers, which are intended for the performance of flows, for example. So you can get some issues if you don't have this in mind, and if your system has a bad design regarding performing mass async business rules.
Yeah, it will be crowded as in
Yeah.
at the beginning of the Oktoberfest. So
As our example showed, we use the sleeper function. So
Mm.
generally that's a bad idea, but we only use this time to show trigger table.
Yeah, in the real world, you can come in this situation pretty fast if you're integrating in many systems and if you have many outbound requests to third-party systems, and these requests take some time.
yes,
No, let's say you have a mass update on all the incidents. There are customers who have millions of incidents. So in each of these updates will perform an outbound request. Now you can imagine what then happens. Millions of outbound requests, they will queue up and it will take a while to perform them. On the other side, any other important background jobs cannot be performed during that time.
yeah. There are only
Yeah.
that many workers, basically windows for processing available, right? And they are all stuck up in one in queue towards those workers, and
Yeah, this is the simple explanation. And in reality, it's a bit more complicated. We have something like burst workers, which are able to bypass this. But for the moment, just have in mind, Async Business Rule will create a job in a systrigger table, and it will take some time for performance. If you have a bad design like usage of such a sleep method, or if it really takes time for updating millions of records or perform any outbound integrations.
Can we show how it's actually shown in how the workers are loaded when we do many updates here?
Yeah, so one of
sure.
the options we used was the sys_trigger table. What we can also do is we can access this information about current action, which is one of the workers or all of the workers are on a different page. So where should we go from here, Mike?
Open please our lovely stats.do page.
Let me first update the values of the rating. So we initiate it, and then we go to stats_do. And
scroll down a bit. Here we have other types of information at the beginning of the page.
Lots of
and we should, yes, here. So can you see we have this scheduled workers or list of scheduled workers, and then the current job for some of them is named async calculate average expedition rating. So this is the name of the job or the business rule at the end, which is performed. We have I think it was 8 workers, and the worker is a mechanism to protect ServiceNow from overcrowding, from overloading. So only 8 workers are able to perform background work. And then if something is performed in one of the worker, it's blocked. So you see, I think 6 are blocked now with the performance of the Async Business Rule, and only 2 remain. So this means if we have more background work to perform, like flows, executions, or whatever, there's a lot of them. It has to wait until the other 6 workers are freed again.
Yeah,
and this is the real issue here in the system. That having too many Async Business Rules performed at the same time.
Yeah, performance should always be in mind.
Yeah, scale is a hard thing.
Well, guys, this was it for today's session about asynchronous business rules. We hope that you found this information useful. And to wrap up the session, Ulla, what can we summarize the takeaways?
Okay, so as we've seen today, we should use async business rules to detach the user session from the heavy workload operations that should be happening in the background. Async business rules is always executed under the triggering user ID. ServiceNow will put it into the systrigger table by creating a run once job, which also means that its immediate execution is not guaranteed. It could happen sometime later on. Each job consumes a scheduled worker, and there's only a limited number of workers available. In case of mass operations, it would be better to evaluate other options like scheduled jobs. Otherwise, you might end up harming your system.
With all this being said, thank you for being with us on our expedition, and we will be seeing you in our next sessions. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.